Shri anāhatā śakti ku-ušma-aNDāyai namaha. Shri anāhatā śakti ku-ušma-aNDāyai namaha. Shri anāhatā śakti ku-ušma-aNDāyai namaha. You heard the sound? Jai Hind, folks. Welcome to the fourth day, or rather fourth night of Nava-rātri. You can see the air blowing. You could hear the sound of the bell. But there was a striking either of the gong to the body of the bell ghanta, or of this wooden rod to the brass bell through friction. These kinds of sounds are normal sounds called struck sounds, and almost every sound that our physical ear hears between the range of 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, 20 kilohertz that is, or beyond in the case of bats and a few other entities which can hear lower frequencies like elephants, which can detect other elephants far, far away because the wavelength is much more before the sound dies down, gets damped by the air. But whatever be these sounds, these are all physical sounds which are because of the striking of two things, right? Put the four fingers of the right hand into the left hand, put the two thumbs together, put them near the lips and blow. Or the claps. All of these are because of any two or more entities coming together to strike at each other. It's very clear in the case of the drumsticks beating the skin of the drums. But if you look at it, the way we produce the sounds in the mouth, it's by striking of some of the organs of the mouth like the tongue or the throat, etc., with the surfaces that they are surrounded by. So essentially these are all struck sounds, whereas the Vedic sound, the sounds that the rishis hear within quotes, not through these ears, but the sound of existence itself, the sound of life itself, not only as Brahman but as prana. And that sound is an unstruck sound. It doesn't require two to produce the sound. And when there is no two but only one, when there is no Dvaita but Advaita, then all these sounds are the sounds as they are, and that's the unstruck sound of the anāhatā chakra. And we change our mudra from the first three chakras, chin mudra or jnana mudra or yoga mudra, whatever you may want to call it, to chinmaya mudra, where the body, mind and the Brahman are all integrated into nothingness, leaving the shunyatva formed by the pairing or synergicity between the intellect and the prana. That's the mudra for the anāhatā, where we have crossed the realm of the rajas or passion and reached sattva, starting point. Now there's no looking back at inertia or tamas below the Muladhara and the passion and aggression of rajas at the Muladhara, Swadhisthana and the Manipura. Now we have come to the anāhatā, the heart chakra, where sattva of purity has taken over. And in Navarātri terminology, we celebrate ku-ušma-aNDā. Many people pronounce this as ku-ušma-aNDā or ku-ušma-aNDā. Neither of it is right. It is ku, the big U, and it's not sh, but sh with the tongue curled upwards, just like the word, the way the letter sh is written in a curled up manner in the Devanagari script. So ku-ušma-aNDā, what does that mean? It's made out of three roots. It's a compound word. Ku-ušma becomes ku-ušma. Ku-ušma and aNDā. Ušma and aNDā becomes ušma-aNDā, because there is an a ending in ušma and a starting with aNDā, small a's. Together they become a big A, ušma-aNDā. Similarly, there is a small u at the end of ku and there is a small u at the beginning of ušma. Together they become a big U, ku-ušma. Now, ku refers to little, tiny, cute, puny, and ušma refers to warmth, the warmth of love and compassion. It's a temperature which is very conducive for synergicity, for love, because it's neither too low nor too high. It's somewhat like Bengaluru weather, let's say. Very, very pleasant, almost perennially. That is ušma. Ušma with an aNDā. You know how a hen incubates its egg, a fertilized egg that is by sitting on it and giving its bodily warmth, right? So similarly, here there's a little bit of warmth, ku-ušma, given to the aNDā, which is not an ordinary aNDā, but brahmāndā, the hiranyagarbha, the entire universe, which we create as its mother every moment and recreate it every other moment. So what has happened? Shailaputri, we were born as a little daughter, brahmacharini, we got educated as a little girl undergoing puberty, and then we became Chandraghanta yesterday on the third night as a wife of Shiva, our own nothingness. So in other words, we started partnering our nothingness. So we were born as an infant, attained puberty as a teenage girl, we married, and now we are pregnant. That's what ku-ušma-aNDā is all about. And this is not a physical development of a girl, but the metaphysical development of our soul as we raise our kundalini śakti. The soul is never changing, but in company of the prana, it takes on a form which is of a little infant, neonatal, and then slowly works up its way. It accumulates the currency which is required. So in order to live a happy life, you accumulate currencies of your own country. If you're in the US, it would be dollars. If you're in Western Europe, mostly it would be euros. In India, it would be rupees. But in the spiritual path, the currency is attention, undivided, unequivocal attention, absolute attention, total involvement. How much of dollars you have or how much of dollars you have invested shows how rich you are in the material physical world. How much of attention can you give to anything and everything that you're involved with at any given moment in time shows how spiritual you are. So that spirituality is what we are encountering over here. And at the Mooladhara as Shailaputri, we accumulated so much of attention that it was like a mountain. We inherited it, in fact, because of our evolution through the tamasic stages of right from the amoeba to various animals, plants, and is eventually becoming mammals, etc. Now as a human, we have all of this accumulated attention. Now this is dissipated in different directions. But when we moved from being Shailaputri to Brahmacharini, we started focusing that attention in a particular direction, which was Brahman, or the primordial reality, Satchit Ananda. And therefore, we were able to grow beyond being Brahmacharini to becoming a Chandraghanta and becoming a partner of our own nothingness, marrying Shiva. Now we are pregnant with the entire universe in our womb as in the form of an egg, which is a latent, potent entity which has life concealed in it. Before we move on tomorrow night to the throat chakra or Vishuddhi, total absolute purity, to give birth to Skanda, the semen of Shiva, which is descending and therefore captured. Now this is an egg which does not yet have the semen of our own nothingness, but it is totally potent because of the warmth and protection that we are giving it. It's essentially a womb, a fertile field that we have created in our heart, which is the seat of air, full of expansion. You can see my hairs flying. This is essentially the seat of air, the fourth of the Panchabhutas. You have transcended the earth element, giving up the sense of smell. We came to the water element, solid to liquid, and giving up taste, we moved on to the fire element, the seat of energy, and giving up sight also, we have now moved to the anāhatā chakra. Yes, once you get into a completely sattvic life, begin a sattvic life, giving up rajas, there's no need for us to have an enhanced sense of smell, an enhanced sense of taste, and even sight. The physical sight is no longer required. That's why those who are blind are for more often than not operating from their anāhatā chakra and above. Now, the dominant sense is touch. We cannot smell anymore, we cannot taste anymore, we cannot even see anymore, but we have an enhanced sense of touch, and that touch is what creates that warmth. And this year's Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, announced just a couple of days back, went to the study of how the neurotransmitters transmit touch and temperature to the brain for further action. And in particular, they studied capsicum, which is an ingredient of all chili peppers. And these chilies have these capsicum which reacts with the tongue to create an exothermic reaction or the heat, which we talked about a few weeks back actually in detail. Now that heat and that touch, how it gets transmitted to the brain is the question. And those who have activated their anāhatā chakra, leave alone mastering it. First of all, you need to activate it. You get the engine revving up and then you start moving your car, right? So similarly, activating the anāhatā chakra itself takes us to that level where we become far more sensitive to touch and temperature, because we already crossed fire or energy and given up sight of it. But now we are in the realm of air or vayu, which is given the northwest direction as opposed to Agni in the southeast direction, so diagonally opposite these two entities. So there's a diagonal transfer that we have taken either through the Ida or the Chandra Nadi, the feminine Nadi, or the Pingala, which is the masculine or Surya Nadi, or the Sushumna, the spiritual Nadi beyond all genders of masculinity and femininity. And we have arrived at the anāhatā, where we are able to hear the unstruck sounds. But the hearing will become even more intricate as we approach tomorrow night, the Vishuddhi chakra, when we drop off the need for touch also, we drop off the element of air also and move to space, and where only sound exists. And you know, a space where there is no matter, solid, liquid or gaseous, and no energy either. How is the transmission of sound possible? And that's where not sounds like this, which are struck sounds, but the unstruck sound of the Vedas come into picture over there. But that's a story for tomorrow night. Let's come back to ku-ušma-aNDā, who has 8 hands as opposed to the 10 hands that Chandraghanta had. Now, Chandraghanta had a lot of work to do. Brahmacharini overcame Kama, Krodha, Lobha, K squared L. Kama, Krodha, Labha, KKL. And Chandraghanta overcame through the partnership with our own nothingness Shiva, M cube, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Moha is attachment, we talked about it yesterday. Mada is arrogance or too much of pride. Matsarya, we talked about it yesterday, it's jealousy. So you see, it is essentially KLM. K squared because Kama and Krodha. L only single, Lobha, greed. How did she transform them? We learnt about it in quite detail. Kama and Krodha, because instead of keeping it unripe happiness, she ripened the happiness. And because there were obstructions to the happiness, she removed those obstructions. When we say she, it is we, because it's ourself. And that's how we removed Kama, Krodha. How did we handle Lobha, greed? instead of greed for this or that, likes and dislikes, we moved on to a greed for everything or nothing, and that is lobha. So k squared L is taken care of. Now m cube was also taken care of yesterday. Moha, Mada, Matsarya. How did we take care of them? Moha, the attachment, by recognizing that the more the proximity, more the moha. Either you go so far away from the material world or go so near it that you eventually reach a singularity and moha vanishes. Just like greed, instead of for some things, we went for everything or nothing. Then lobha is no longer a problem. Similarly, moha, this attachment that we have, is only because of a certain finite distance between the object of desire and us. Therefore, that possessiveness comes, moha. Now, if you want to lose possessiveness, either you integrate that entity within yourself in an all-inclusive embrace, or you go so far away from it, it's infinitely far, it no longer exists for you. So that's how moha was overcome. Mada, arrogance. It drops off, because what is there to be arrogant about when there is nobody around you? All of you, the rest has been included within you or sent so far away that it no longer is in your sphere of existence. So, Madha vanishes. And Matsarya, who are you going to be jealous about? Everybody or everything or every situation that you are jealous about is now included within you or sent so far away that it no longer makes an impact. So, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, M cube is also conquered. So, it's very interesting that this abbreviation is KLM, which was the first airline in the entire world. The Dutch started it in the Netherlands. KLM Airlines was the first airline in the entire world. And Air India was soon to follow, one of the first 10 to be instituted by the Tatas. It has come back to the Tatas yesterday. The process has started. It will be completed in December. So KLM, or more specifically K squared LM cube, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, have all been handled. No, there are no longer any internal enemies to worry about. So no need of Rajas. So Chandraghanta, out of her 10 hands, drops off 2 weapons and needs only 8 hands now. In fact, she drops off a 3rd weapon too, and in its place she already has a lotus. She has Aksharamala or the Rudraksha beads. She has the Kamandala or the water pot. Now in addition, she has a Kalasha which is fully filled. The Kamandala has water. The Kalasha has all of the rajas that we have collected. And when some stupid people think of that as red wine for intoxication or as blood, red blood, no. If you look at the very deep meanings of those Sanskrit words, which I'll explain in probably a different episode to keep the duration of this video short and sweet. But what it is talking about is a red color, which is the color of rajas or activity. Now we have given up all of our aggressive, passionate activity. We have slowed down. We were slow as tamasic nature. That's why many people get confused between tamas and sattva, and even more so between tamas and trigunatīta. They think both are one and the same. No. The attitude is all that matters over here, and the attitude is totally different. The activities drop off by themselves, like in the Mahamrutyunjaya mantra we say Urvarukamiva Vandanan. So like that Mrityo Mukshiyam Amrutat happens, that these activities drop off by themselves like a ripened cucumber dropping off from the creeper out of its own self-weight. The rajas is gone. So we have evolved from being Shailaputri to becoming Brahmacharini for our education and becoming Chandraghanta for our partnership and now we are in the process of our creativity, of our motherliness, not yet having a child, but the child is within us in the womb, and that is the story of the pregnant nature of what we are, pregnant with our spiritual nature, not pregnant with a baby or a fetus, but pregnant with immense potential and capabilities to make this entire universe and beyond space and time as well as our own child, inclusive within us. That is the brahmāndā or ku-ušma-aNDā that we are celebrating tonight. Let's see how many minutes completed. Around 25, 26, which is the range in which I would like to keep all of these things. But there's one more small thing that I would like to point out. I've told you this Mooladhara, when we wore Shailaputri, belonged to our patience, and therefore perseverance was doing very well over there. When we are patient, working thrives. Not hard work, but work done out of total devotion. That's why this is the seat of Saturn, Mooladhara. But Mars, the reddish Mars, is the one who thrives over there. That's why Mars is exalted in the Makara Rashi. So it's a blue field where red thrives. It's Saturn's field where Mars thrives. It's the field of our patience where perseverance thrives. And that's why we were Shailaputri there, the daughter of the earth, the mountains. And we managed to lose our smell to come up and become a brahmacharini, which belonged to Jupiter, our wisdom. But who thrives there? Venus, or our own luxury, our ability to become creative without actually putting that creativity into practice, recognizing our creativity to move in the right direction. That is what is the symbolism of the Swadhisthana, which is Dhanur and Meena, Sagittarius and Pisces, owned by Jupiter, but in Pisces the exaltation is that of Venus, Shukra. And that's why it's the seat of our semen, Shukra, as well, which needs to be eventually transformed as Virya, the spiritual potency, and eventually as Ojas, along with what comes from the earth. And who doesn't thrive in the Mooladhara? It's our wisdom. See, when we are totally patient, it's perseverance which will thrive, not wisdom. But in the home of wisdom, it is our luxury, which our creativity which will thrive, not our intellect. Our intellect will feel out of home. That's why Mercury is debilitated in Pisces or Meena. Then we move up a little bit to a Martian home, reddish fields. Here there were yellow fields in which white or black thrived. And here we have come to a reddish field of Mesha and Vrishchika in the Manipura. As Chandraghanta, we are able to keep whom happy, because it's the house of perseverance, the house of Mars, Mesha and Vrishchika, that is Aries and Scorpio. But who is exalted over there? Well, it is Sun and Ketu, the two fiery grahas, our soul and our mysticism, our ability to perceive things as they are. Because there is fire, there is light, there is energy. So we can perceive our Atma, our self. And because already we have crossed Swadhisthana, establishment in the self. Now we are at the Manipura, the city of jewels and light and fire and energy. belonging to Mars, the place of perseverance, the fields which are red in perseverance, but where the orange of the sun and the multicolors of Ketu, our mystical nature, our soul, thrives. And tonight we have come to the realm of Vrishabha, that is Taurus, and Tula, that is Libra, owned by Venus, our creativity, and therefore the ku-ušma-aNDā, the womb, the egg, and the warmth, even if it is tiny, it's just a slight smile. That's why I'm bearing this smile of a Shiva, because the Shiva here, ku-ušma-aNDā, just with her gentle little smile, Smita, Hasmita, is able to create the entire universe, or at least seed it. It's still in a seed form. It's not yet created in all its true manifestation. That will happen here tomorrow night. But right now, the seed is in place. It's not the seed as a semen, but the seed as the womb or the egg. It's very interesting. Usually the womb or the egg is thought of as a field where you sow the seed, which is the semen. But ku-ušma-aNDā that we are trying to convert the egg itself into a seed or a semen. That's the level of potency. And the way Skanda or Muruga was born, you will hear the story tomorrow night. Though Swadhisthana is the chakra of Muruga, his birth is to a lady who controls this as Skanda Mata or Saraswati, and that we shall encounter through the falling of the seed of Shiva. But already, in a sense, the seed has been developed by ku-ušma-aNDā. So, Rishabha and Tula is a kind of balance, and Rishabha is the bull with total patience. But these are the homes of creativity of Venus. And who thrives over here? It is Saturn. Our patience thrives over here. And who else thrives over here? Because Saturn is exalted in Tula, the moon and Rahu are exalted in Rishabha. So the mind and our imagination, our hallucination, those are also very active over there. So there is a negative side to everything. But how you transform that same energy into positivity is what you're looking at. So our mind is exalted as well. And that's why we say Chandra Ganta is wearing the Chandra as if it's like a Ganta in the C shape with the hollow. And that C-shaped crescent moon of the Tritiya was worn last night. Today it has become slightly thicker. Yes, the lady is pregnant, you see. And it is a Chaturthi moon, which is a symbolism of Ganesha. But again, it's worn away from yourself because Shiva partnership has already started in the navel. Now, the Chandra or the moon in the form of the crescent is worn as a ornament above the crown to showcase the fact that we are no longer thinking of ourselves as our mind. The mind is worn out and kept aside and used whenever it is needed. And that mind is exalted over here. And the reason why we do the Chinmaya Mudra is because we want to fill this region with prana. Already at the Mooladhara and Swadhisthana, we have developed Ojas from Kapha, from the earth and water elements. At the Manipura, as Chandraganta, we developed our Tejas from the Pitta, from the fire. And now it's an opportunity to develop from Vayu or air and Gagana or the space. We want to convert them from Vata to Prana, life energy. Prana, Apana, Vyana udana, samana, saprana, the 5 forms of prana. All of these, now there is a possibility. The earth, it was fixed and rigid. Water, it was flowing and taking the shape of whatever it was contained in. Fire, the liberation started. Air, it can move anywhere and everywhere, fully free. And further freedom is there as we move to space tomorrow. But here we have encountered prana in the form of Hanuman and Bhima as well, the Vayuputras, which is represented by our pointing finger, the prana. Getting in conjunction with the intellect, because tomorrow this same mudra will continue, because these are the mudras of the Lakshmi, Saraswati and Parvati, the ladies, as opposed to what we already went through, the boys, Ganesha, Muruga and Ayyappa. So even though it was Shailaputri, Brahmacharini, Chandraghanta, there was more of the masculine domination over there. Now the feminine nature has started, a more refined nature of Lakshmi, Saraswati and Parvati. And this region where we have started with ku-ušma-aNDā, tomorrow we look at Skandamata and so on, is the region where instead of the Chin Mudra of the first 3 chakras, we have moved on to the Chinmaya Mudra as a starting point. We have transformed all the tamas to rajas, and now we have transformed all the rajas into sattva. And we will start enhancing our sattva as we move between these 3 chakras, and eventually lose that as well, transcend all gunas. So with this, let me come to an end of today's discourse. It's been the longest in this series, but worth it, because we have ventured into what is almost like true spirituality. These were the foundational blocks. Now we are venturing into the real thing: love, compassion, expansion in an airy sense, in the sense of the prana. Am Shri anāhatā śakti ku-ušma-aNDāyai Namo Namaha.